大家好，我是 Lily 刘，是 Solana 基金会的主席。这个是我第10年在区块链的一个行业里。我是3年前21年首先是开始作为 Solana 的一个用户。然后其实我第一个 App 是用 Radium 和就是一直在做那个 Spark 跟 Perp 的一个交易吧。不知道谁也记得3年前的这个非常好的一个 trade。Anyways， 然后我是我一直对 Solana 非常有兴趣，然后就是刚好碰上 Raj 和 Tolly，就慢慢就是逐渐的加入 Solana 的一个生态吧。然后最近这变成 Solana 基金会的一个主席。其实我记得19年，我就是以前也是 Raj 和 Tolly 在993的一个朋友。我第一次跟Tolly 就是在聊，是因为他问我是说 Lily， 我们要帮 Solana 在华语区就是做一些发展。那我还记得我就是19年跟他打了30分钟的一个电话，是关于华语区和 Solana 的一个发展吧。然后这是 fast forward 4年，终于我认为是我这边的一个 like a fate to help it happen。anyways， 所以我今天还是用英文说，但是就是非常感谢大家。就是来支持 Wormhole 和 Pyth， 也加上 Solana， 因为 Wormhole 和 Pyth 是我们 Solana 生态很重要的一部分，是从几年前开始，没有太多团队是真正对 Solana 有信心的时候，Wormhole 和 Pyth 也就是进到 Solana ecosystem 提供很核心的一些设施，所以我们可以说是一起长大的OK，Hi, I'm Lily. I'm president of the Solana Foundation. I'm going to talk about some of the things we're up to at Solana. I'm going to assume at this point folks have heard of Solana before, maybe used a couple of apps on Solana. We're in a friendly company here, in the company of Wormhole and Pyth. So let me talk about a couple of things that we're always really focused on things that are only possible on blockchains. And because we believe performance is necessary for everything to be better, those things that are only possible in Solana given the parallel architecture and performance of Solana. So before I kind of get into the new category that we're looking at, let's review a couple of things that are only possible in Solana. DePIN. These are a few of the pillars of our DePIN ecosystem. Starting last year when Helium came over to Solana, Helium was kind of the big one. The first one really started to articulate this ability to have decentralized kind of physical infrastructure, decentralized compute networks now with Render and also HiveMapper, the ability to sort of have decentralized resource networks that start to incorporate even human work into them. Next slide. And then a lot of slide transitions. Okay. And in the DePIN category, we've now kind of become the DePIN chain. And here are some of the up-and-comers within DePIN as well. Some of these are decentralized hardware networks, compute networks, kind of resource networks. And for me, as someone who did Earn.com in the past, what I'm particularly passionate about is decentralized human work networks. Because to me, the biggest market that crypto is going to disrupt is that of the labor market. But that's a few years away, I would say. Okay. And of course, there's also, you've probably seen this before, last few months, it's been really popular on Solana. As it turns out, everyone likes a good speculative sort of fun time. That is what happened in 2017, 2018. It's gonna just part of the industry we're in. And I guess people also figured out that launching, trading, going to market on meme coins works really well, works better when you have performance as well. And you don't have to go try to hunt down someone's handle on Telegram and see if they might sometime ever list you on their exchange, right? So let's be real about that. Okay, all right, next slide. Another one, this is one of my favorite projects within all of crypto and certainly within Solana, Drip. What we rolled out last year is something called state compression. It basically means, amongst other things, you can mint 1 million NFTs for $100. That's going to make you part with probably $1 million if you do that on ETH mainnet, so most people don't do that. And so to me, it's around, there's kind of a co-evolution cycle between infrastructure and applications, right? And when you roll out something like state compression, then it enables an entirely new category of applications, for example, Drip, where initially they started out by dropping 100,000 NFTs every 2 weeks, which you could do with basically trivial cost. And what that gets you into is discovering new content delivery mechanisms and entirely new ways to interact with consumers. So if you haven't seen Drip yet, I would encourage you to check it out. It's pretty cool. So now going back to one of the kind of things we started developing a few years ago, Solana Pay, right? Pretty self-evident name. Everyone understands why, you know, payments are probably relevant within crypto, but this is what I really want to talk about today. We started off by creating Solana Pay. We call it Solana Pay, but really it is a messaging protocol that you can use for payments, because you could basically buy coffee with SPL tokens, and you know, this is a messaging protocol that allows you to transfer those tokens in order to, you know, for example, pay with SPL USDC or USDT to buy coffee. Okay, so to me, that's kind of the start of new category that we are calling PayFi. What is PayFi? I'm going to talk about that today. Next slide. Okay, so what is the original vision for blockchain? The original vision for blockchain is the title of the Bitcoin white paper, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, right? And what this means is a self-custodial system, okay, so self-custody, we've probably, here are some images that you've probably all used before. We've got, I'm sure everyone here has used MetaMask before. So a somewhat easy way that people can experience self-custody. But let's just be clear, there's some trade-offs in that UI. You get self-custody, there's some cost with that as well, right? And we've always been talking about programmable money, and Ethereum definitely brought that to us with the introduction of smart contracts and this idea that you have kind of this global network of computers help you in a trustless and censorship-resistant way be able to compute transactions, okay? And then part of the original value proposition as well was an open financial system, right? So that's where we got DeFi apps within the Ethereum world. We've probably all used Uniswap. But the thing is that it can sting sometimes. If you look here, sometimes, next slide please. Sometimes you can get a transaction which is $400, $800 to do a swap. That works if you're swapping $1 million. Doesn't work so well if you're trying to swap $10. Okay, so basically there's been sort of, I would say, there's already quite a bit of liquidity in the DeFi world, right? Going towards this whole vision of open financial system, programmable money, because to me that really has been the original vision of blockchain, starting with Bitcoin in the beginning. And actually, maybe we don't all remember this, but back in 2013, 2014, Gavin Andresen actually wrote a blog post about the $1 billion transaction roadmap, and that did not come to pass in 2014, and that has not come to pass with any scale implementation of blockchains today. All right, and so why is that? So to me, there's kind of three conditions as to how that are necessary in order for us to even start to realize this vision. And our perspective is that it doesn't exist anywhere within crypto with the exception of Solana today. So what are those three conditions? Obviously, performance is part of it, right? So everyone knows, you know, Solana is fast and cheap. Okay, great. How fast? How cheap? How fast? Around 400 milliseconds a block. How cheap? Around 0.001 cents a transaction. All right. Another way to express performance is, next slide. So in terms of minting 1 million NFTs, this is what we did with state compression. Protocol adjacent innovation means 1 million NFTs, $100, right? Comparatively, 1 million NFTs on Ethereum, that's gonna cost you a pretty penny, 8 figures. So most people don't do that as a result. And so kind of what we're looking at here in performance is it's not just fast and cheap. This is a difference between watching movies on DVDs that Netflix mails you and watching DVDs on streaming because you went from 56K modems where you'd have to download stuff on Pirate Bay if you're going to watch it on your computer, or today now you have bandwidth and you can stream, right? Same company, entirely different experience. All right, so that's condition one, performance. Condition two is, next slide, is capital liquidity. You've got to have liquidity in a medium of exchange that people actually want to use for payments. As much as we love Bitcoin and as much as we love Ethereum and Solana and all the rest of these native coins, no one denominates their life in sats, right? How many sats does a cup of coffee cost? No one knows. You want to pay for that in dollars or whatever fiat currency you're used to using before you can actually have a digital economy where there's more happening than buy, sell, and speculative behavior and swapping one token for the other. So on that, Solana is #1 stablecoin liquidity. We got there in the last few months. I think per that stat, we are 2x stablecoin transaction volume on Ethereum. The third condition is talent liquidity, meaning basically developers, right? In blockchain, it's not just the network. Once you have the network, you have to have a developer community, an independent developer community. Otherwise, people aren't using your network, and you don't have that sort of creative hive mind, which is what creates real innovation in blockchain, really technology at large. So those are the three conditions. Next slide. To recap, performance, capital liquidity, and talent liquidity. Next slide. Said more simply, fast and cheap, way to transfer money that people use with developers who are actually interested in building on it. Okay, so to me, those are the three conditions. In other ecosystems, you might get 2 out of those 3, but nowhere else you get 3 out of those 3. So for us, we think this is an opportunity to introduce a new category, which we are calling PayFi. Okay, so what is PayFi? Why is it so different from DeFi? To me, DeFi is really about buy-sell, right? No question, trading is a big part of crypto, and it's swapping one coin for another and arbitraging price across different venues, largely in the same point of time. What I think PayFi is, it's new financial primitives that are not about arbitraging across venues at this very point in time. It's more about arbitraging the time value of money. And that sounds perhaps, obscure. It's actually incredibly intuitive to all of us in our everyday lives. Next slide. So here are some examples. I'm going to offer you 3 examples. We've probably heard of buy now, pay later, right? This is Affirm, this is Klarna, tons of billions of dollars of an industry at checkout. And so you can, buy something online and then pay it back over time, right? Over 3 installments, 4 installments, something like that. Became a huge industry around the world. How can we implement that as a new financial primitive using cryptocurrency and using blockchains? Well, what's better than buy now, pay later? It's buy now, pay never. How would that work? So you could swipe a card, spend $5 on your cup of coffee, and instead of paying that back over time through an Affirm or a Klarna or something like that, what you could instead do is you could deposit, let's say, $50 into a lend-borrow pool, and the interest from that would pay off your cup of coffee over time. And instead of paying back $5, pay back $5.50. Just one example. That's a consumer example. A creator monetization example here, similarly, right? So let's say there's a creator, 1 million views on something like a YouTube is worth anywhere between $2,000, $20,000. Let's say it's worth $10,000, right? And of course, they're accumulating those views over time, and then they get paid that through some ad share revenue over time. But as a creator, you've got to pay for your equipment, you've got to pay for production. So what if you could actually get an advance on your video and then be able to stream back payments or pay back payments in installments as that revenue is actually coming in? This is something that there's certainly a market for, and it's impossible today for many different reasons. This is the type of thing that you could potentially implement in a blockchain environment where you have fast and cheap settlement rails, you have stablecoin liquidity, and you have actually got people who have the skills to build something like this in a digitally native environment. Third example, AR. Many people here, probably everyone, has run a business before, and what that means is that you have suppliers and they want to get paid, right? And typically, when they send you an invoice, you don't pay them immediately, net 15, net 30, something like that, right? So what if they need the cash, right? They can either keep on sending you emails, please pay me sooner. I don't know how effective that is, or there's already such a huge industry around basically selling your accounts receivable, getting cash now, and people are willing to do that because they're willing to sort of, be on the other side of a different kind of time value of money function, and they're happy to receive a little bit more money on a longer time frame. And so, similar type of thing, 100K in 30 days, right? The recipient of that can sell that claim, and then maybe they get 90 today, and then the folks that kind of basically paid for that get the 100K or maybe 110K over 30 days, 60 days, whatever. So 3 different examples, arbitraging the time value of money, and over time rather than across venues, which is the buy-sell kind of way that we're all familiar with. Okay, so there's many examples of this. In fact, this is the majority of just your everyday economy, right? This affects literally every single every single customer, vendor, transaction in the world today, much larger market than buy-sell. Supply chain finance, right? Extremely sort of mature industry, essentially around a chain of AR finance, we call it factoring. Payday loans, credit cards, corporate credit, even interbank repo markets, right? That's a massive market, cross-border settlement, and that one even, interbank repo markets are interbank or even intra-bank, right? If you look at Citi, they're even settling between their offices overseas on even kind of like a daily basis. They even charge each other interest, so on and so forth. So this is time value of money, all right? So that is, we've as a general purpose L1, we don't think that we have the choice between breadth and depth, right? Especially now with modularity, with application-specific infrastructure. Actually, I think that the amount of space in the market on this general purpose L1 architecture sort of end of the spectrum is a very limited window now, because you have to have breadth and you also have depth, right? You can't focus on just a single application vertical, otherwise you fail your builders because you have generalized infrastructure and application-specific go-to-market strategy, you will fail. So for us, we've got a very robust DeFi ecosystem, creators, gaming, DePIN, payments, right? To us, it's not really a choice, because the original vision is that if you have all of these applications and all these different sort of experiences co-located in one environment, they're actually all better off for it. And I suppose the word for that has been composability. But to us, in the individual verticals that we're focused on, we think about what is only possible on Solana today. And collectively, we believe having all of that sort of co-located is something that is even more so only possible within the architecture that we're working in. So that's what I want to share today. We call it Pyth.